Now that I've got the basics from my physics behind a drone video, it's time you learn how to actually fly a drone. And the best way to do this is through practice. These activities I'm going to show you can be used in your own drone club. So let's get started. This first activity is actually very simple to explain and actually complete. So what you want to do is you're going to put a landing pad on the side closest to you and another on the opposite side of the field. Then you're going to fly the drone in between these two. This activity does get quite boring, however it does show the flyers that you need to have a second person watching you to make sure you don't lose the drone, and it highlights how hard it is sometimes to see the drone. Okay, so you're simply going to take off from the landing pad by putting the controllers down and out. This will make the drone take off.
Point updated.
You're going to stick to about 1 meter off the ground and you're just going to fly straight across the field. You're going to keep an eye on the drone and make sure you're not relying completely on the drone camera, if your drone has one. So to begin with, I wouldn't land on the other landing pad and just use it as more of a marker where to fly to. On the way back, you can do one of two things. You could either just leave the drone facing the way it is and fly backwards like so, or you could, going back to where I was, you could flip the drone around.
So, using the left joystick which controls the throttle and yaw to either the left or the right so the drone is now facing you. So, now that the drone is facing you, the controls are almost backwards. See how I'm moving the right joystick which controls the pitch and roll to the right, but the drone is moving left from my perspective. And I'm moving left with my right hand while the drone is moving right from my perspective. This is often more confusing for new flyers as the controls are backwards to a certain degree. Once you get a hang of this, you could start to try land on the second landing pad. Now, if you can't do this, don't be disheartened. I don't see a reason why anyone would need to do this in a drone club. But if you would like to do this, you should use the gimbal dial on the back of your controller, which can be seen here. And you can use this to rotate your drone camera directly downwards, like so. Then, using the camera, you can find the landing pad which you want to land on. And then you can go directly downwards and land on the landing pad.
So once you know how to move the drone back and forwards and understand that when the drone is facing you, the controls are backwards, you can move on to a new activity. Now this one does take quite a bit of preparation, and what I use for this is some steaks and pool noodles, but you can use anything you can find at your school. So let's set this up.
Now that we've set this up with 4 pool noodles spread out evenly across the field, we are going to do an obstacle course of some sort by just weaving in and out of these pool noodles. So this activity is basically just weaving in and out of pool noodles. This helps you work on your mobility and control while flying the drone, and this activity is more interactive than the previous one. On the way back, you can do one of two things. The first option is to once again leave the drone facing the way it is and fly backwards through the course. This way the controls are not backwards. However, you do need to rely completely on your eyesight to ensure you don't run into any of the pool noodles, so this way does take a touch longer. The other way is to rotate your drone so it is facing you, like so. Then you can use the drone camera to help guide you through the pool noodles. I am currently using the drone camera as well as my eyesight from where I'm standing to ensure I'm actually where I think I am. This way, you will hopefully not hit any of the pool noodles. There are also 2 options on how to actually fly through this course. Option 1 is to fly through the course not changing the direction the drone is facing. This is better for speed, so if you are doing a race, this would be the way to go. The second option is better for filming. This option is where you change the direction the drone is facing to fly through the course. This does take longer, however it is very helpful when keeping a subject in the center of the frame while changing directions. This activity also allows for a lot of progressions. For example, you could have 2 drones racing. You could have the pool noodles closer together. You could add more pool noodles. or you can have the pool noodles spread out all over the field. The final activity is a super fun activity which can be used as like a party if you want at your drone club. This activity involves taping a long strand of paper onto the cage of the drone propellers. Then you get a second drone and tape more paper onto it. Then you get both of the drones to fly at the same time, of course with different people flying them, and then you play a game of tag, where each person tries to cut the paper with the drone propellers of the other drone.